Hello everyone, welcome to the history class. In this video, I'll be continuing with the ninth theme of class 11th history, that is the Industrial Revolution. Students, in the previous videos, we have discussed many important topics like how the industrialization first began in England. Then we have discussed about the textile industry and the iron and steel industry of England, how they became the first industries to be started in England, what factors led to their growth. All these things we have covered in the previous videos. Now in this video I'll be continuing with another important topic, that is canals and railways. Since industrial growth requires a well connectivity with the distant land, so such development like the canal building and the railways became an important factor for the industries to grow in England. So let's start the topic. Canals were initially built to transport coal to cities. This was because the bulk and the weight of coal made its transport by road much lower and more expensive than by barges on canals. So this was the requirement of that time. The demand for coal as industrial energy and for heating and lighting of homes in cities grew constantly. So the making of the first canal, the Hoseley Canal, James Brindley, this is an important name. James Brindley was the person who built the first canal, had no other purpose but to carry coal from the coal deposits to the cities. After the canal was completed, the price of the coal fell by half. So this has reduced the prices of the coal in cities. So if we see that canals, so it was a time consuming but an easy way of carrying the bulky heavy material from one place to another. It was quite cheaper than the roadways, and it was mainly built to transport the coals in less time. After canals, the price of the coal fell to half rate. So these were some of the highlights that I have explained just now. Now canals were usually built by big landowners to increase the value of the mines, quarries or forests of their lands. The confluence of canals created marketing centers in new towns, and 25 new projects were began of canal from 1760 to 1790, also known as Canal Mania. Means during this time, this period, massive projects were started to build canals in England. In the next 60 years, more than 14,000 miles canals were built. So this was the development that took place. Now, talking about the railways, the first steam locomotive, Stephenson's rocket, appeared in 1814. Railways emerged as a new means of transportation that was available throughout the year, both cheap and fast. It was cheaper than the ships and canals, faster than ships and canals. Passengers can also travel. Railways on hilly areas was successful. Then during Little Train Mania, means the time period, the historians have divided the time period according to the development that was taken place in particular field. So from 1833 to 1837, around 1400 miles railway lines were built in England. Now, throughout these years, railways emerged as a new means of transportation. They combined two inventions, the iron track, which replaced the wooden track in 1760s, and haulage along it by steam engine. The invention of railways took the entire process of industrialization to the second stage. Most part of England had been connected by railways in 1850 50s. So this was the development that took place in the field of transportation in England. Now the next topic is the lives of the workers, how the lives changed in the cities. No doubt, with the help of industrialization, many new changes occurred in England, especially the money would multiply, but wealth in the form of goods, income, services, knowledge, productive efficiency did increase dramatically during this time. There was at the same time a massive negative human cost. This was evident in broken families, new addresses, degraded cities, and appalling working conditions in factories. The number of cities in England with a population of over 50,000 grew. So, overpopulation was another important feature of industrialized cities of London. This pace of growth was not matched with the provision of adequate housing, sanitation, clean water for the rapidly growing urban population. So the newcomers were forced to live in overcrowded slums in the congested central areas of towns near factories, while the rich inhabitants escaped by shifting to homes in the suburbs where the air was cleaner and the water safe to drink. According to a survey in 1842, the average lifespan of the workers was very less. 15 years in Birmingham and 17 years in Manchester and 21 in Derby. So these many years were reduced of the workers, their lifespans. Now more people died at a younger age in the new industrial cities than in the villages they had come from. Half the children failed to survive beyond the age of 5. The increase in population of cities was because of the immigrants rather than by an increase in the number of children born to families who already lived there. Deaths were primarily caused by epidemics of diseases that sprung from pollution of water like cholera, typhoid, tuberculosis, etc. More than 31,000 were died in 1832. Now, the condition of women, children in industrialization, we'll be discussing this topic now. The Industrial Revolution was a time of important change in the way that children and women worked. Children of the rural poor had always worked at home or in the farms at job at varied during the day or between seasons. Now the earning of women and the children were necessary to supplement men's meager wages. As the use of machinery spread, the fewer and fewer workers were needed in the industries. So the industrialists preferred to employ more women and children who would be less agitated about their poor working conditions and work for lower wages than men. So they saw twin advantages of employing women and children more into the factory areas rather than giving employment to the men. They were employed in large numbers in cotton textile industry as well as silk industry, lace making and knitting industry. So these were the industries where women predominantly employed. They were quite cheap laborers as compared to men. They do work for more time and they also get very less money. So machinery like the cotton spinning jenny was designed to be used by child workers with their small build and nimble fingers. Children were often employed in textile factories because they were small enough to move between tightly packed machinery. The long hours of work, including cleaning the machines on Sundays, allowed them little fresh air or exercise. Children caught their hair in machines or crushed their hands, while some died when they fell into machine as they dropped off to sleep from exhaustion. So this was a miserable condition that was prevailing in the early factories in England. Now, coal mines were also a dangerous place to work in, and roofs caved in or there could be an explosive, and injuries were therefore common. The coal owners, mine owners, used children to reach deep coal faces or those where the approach path was too narrow for adults. So the younger children worked as trappers who opened and shut doors as the coal wagons traveled through mines, or carried heavy loads of coal on their backs as coal bearer. So the factory manager considered child labor to be an important training for the future factory work. So these were the conditions. They were not having a good, um, they were not experiencing a good childhood. So this was the condition that was prevailing in the factories of England at that time. No doubt the economy wise England was becoming sound, but on other areas social lives of the people were affected because of industrialization. So this is all about this topic. Thank you for this video.